Today's show was recorded live at the Refinery, Charleston's hub for creative industry. Go to therefinerychs.com to get event, venue, and contact information. Now on with the show. Hey everybody, welcome to the Shrimp City Report, Charleston and the Lowcountry's #1 podcast for entertainment, leisure, and living, and Best of Charleston 2025 nominated podcast. I'm joined with my co-host today, DJ.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going well. How's the week going?
Good.
It's again, it's a beautiful 65-degree day here in Charleston with zero humidity. Yeah, we're lying. We're definitely lying about that. But luckily, we are in the confines of a beautifully restored Railcar at one of our places that we really dig in Charleston, the Refinery.
Yeah.
And we're joined with Drew Augustine. How you doing, Drew?
I'm good. Thanks for having me on.
Good.
I got to say, it is one of the more interesting places. We recorded a podcast inside of a train car, you know?
Oh, yeah, to the max. And we'll definitely have pictures up on the show notes and on the website of it.
Yeah.
All right, Drew. Big question. Well, it's a heavy lift because we were doing some research on the Refinery and, been going to shows here. There's so many different features of it. How would you describe what the Refinery is?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think a lot of people wonder that or have asked themselves that in the past, just because it is a unique venue and it's more than a venue. So the way that I would best describe it is it's a mixed-use real estate development, really.
Oh.
So, I mean, there are, multiple office buildings surrounding the property. There's a 2,000-person amphitheater on the backside of the property, which is what most people refer to as the amphitheater or as the Refinery. And then adjacent to that are the Whale and Cleats, which are two retail tenants. They're independent businesses, so they're open normal business days. They have their own operating hours. And then on the second and third floors of the building that you see along Meeting Street, there are office tenants. So it's a really diverse property that has a lot going on at any given time.
Yeah. So how did you get involved with the campus, the Refinery?
Yeah. So technically, I work for the developer who developed and constructed the Refinery building and the site in general. So the developer is Flyway. We're a vertically integrated real estate firm. So a developer, we have a general contracting arm. We have a real estate management arm as well. So, the CEO, Lindsay Nevin, always had this vision for this property. It originally started off as the older buildings on site, which is technically 1630 Meeting Street.
Okay.
Those are the original offices of Standard Oil's regional headquarters here.
So hence the name?
Exactly. So there's a bit of a historical reference there with the name. And there was always a vision to develop this portion of the site and have a music venue on the back side of it. So, that was completed in 2020. And then around 2021, 2022, I moved back to Charleston and had always kind of been keeping an eye on this project. I knew about it in the past and knew of Flyway. And I eventually just got in touch with Lindsay and, kind of put my name in the hat for a more entry-level position, and then grew with the company as things progressed and kind of watched the Refinery come to life. And then it just so happened that, we kind of bit off more than we could chew in a way and started developing this events business and really starting to understand what we were doing with building and operating a music venue. And I just slowly started to take on more of that responsibility and more of those duties. And that just led me to where I am today. Yeah.
I guess the vertical model has worked well with the company. It sounds like you're getting a little scope creep with the event and entertainment stuff. So
exactly.
But that's really, it's fascinating. A lot of times we don't think about, I hate the term of how the sausage is made, but a lot of times you don't, the folks that are coming in here enjoying the Whale or the shows or something, they don't realize what's really behind everything.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of people, think of, I've had a lot of friends who, think that the refinery as a campus is the Whale, or the or the Whale is the refinery. So there's a bit of confusion there. So we've tried to, put some messaging out there, doing a better job of explaining really what the campus is, the different aspects of it, and how it functions on a daily basis. But it's certainly unique in that sense.
Okay. Well, how about you and your background?
I mean, originally from Charlotte, North Carolina, but I've been in Charleston for more or less, 15 years at this point. I went to College of Charleston.
Okay.
I did a little bit of traveling after college and bounced around a bit, spent some time in Durham, North Carolina. And as I mentioned earlier, found my way back to Charleston after trying to leave a couple times, but it's a pretty difficult spot to leave, as you guys are well aware.
For sure.
So yeah, I mean, that's kind of the basics of it. And I've landed here and have had a really good experience and time kind of watching and helping bring this project to life. So I don't see myself leaving anytime soon. Yeah.
So have you been learning a lot then for the event booking and music business then?
Yeah. I mean, it's been incredible. I, didn't know what I didn't know when we started doing this. And that was a lot of our team. It's certainly not our expertise.
Because y'all basically just started from the ground up, it sounds like, know.
Yeah. But, in the real estate world and the development world, it's all about building the team, right? So if you get the right people around you and you're not the smartest one in the room and you're, really just building this team that is going to bring this project to life, and everybody has their subject matter expertise in areas that they're really well versed in, then that's really what counts. So that's what we've tried to do, and put people in the right position to exceed at what they do.
Yeah, I got to compliment you too on your vetting system for the bands you've been booking, because they've been knocking out of the park lately.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's all props to our partner on that side of things, which is Ear for Music.
Okay, yeah, we know who they are.
Yeah. So they're our talent buyer and our promoter. They've been with us since the beginning. So they've really been a huge part of the trajectory and the development of the concert side of things.
Yeah.
They've had a really big impact on the bands that we've brought in here since year one, all the way up to, the shows that we have coming up this weekend. So props to them, and they continue to really make us proud, and they're great partners, and we're super happy to be involved with them. Yeah.
Yeah. Ear for Music is very notable in Charleston and the Lowcountry for booking. And to DJ's point, you have great lineups, and it's we've been here when it's super packed, and even sometimes I'll think a band is maybe obscure, like they're not going to get anyone. And I'm like, holy shit, there's it's several hundred people here.
Yeah. I mean, that's a surprise to us a lot of the time too. Sometimes Rob and Rusty with Ear for Music will come to us with a booking that they landed, and we're skeptical of it, and then it ends up being one of the best shows of the year. So like I said, leaving the experts to their expertise is something that we've really leaned into for sure.
Well, that's good for both of you. I mean, it's a testimony to separation of work or separation of duties. I mean, think about, I guess, how hard it would be for you and your team to try to keep acts coming through, do all that research, market, all that stuff.
It's a huge lift. It really is. It's a really complex process, and there's a lot of moving parts. So it certainly takes a village, just like anything else, any other project of this scale. But we've been really happy with the results so far, and we're excited for 2025 and the years to come for sure. Yeah.
Cool. So let's talk about some of the other, I guess, retail spaces that are on the site, the Whale and all that other stuff. How'd you come in contact? Were they on board as soon as y'all started developing the place, or?
So the Whale was. The Whale was one of the first tenants here. So they really took a leap of faith and kind of saw the vision and bought into it on the front end. Being one of the first retail tenants in a space like this, and the location that it is, 3-4 years ago.
Yeah.
They took a gamble for sure.
Right.
But they've been on the ride with us ever since. And they've done an incredible job of really making themselves known in town and developing a small community around it. So that's been really fun to see. They just got nominated, I think, the number 2 beer bar in the world, maybe.
Yeah.
At least top 5.
Good Lord.
Yeah. So obviously that's a huge accolade. They have other locations, one in Asheville, one in Greenville, or 2 in Asheville now. And then, this one in Charleston here. So It's certainly the most unique out of all of them, I would think, with, the ability to sit at their bar up against the garage door there and watch a concert.
And we've definitely done that.
Yeah. I mean, it's probably the best view in the house, if I'm being honest. Yeah.
Yeah. And the other establishment is Cleats, right? That's a sports bar or kind of?
Yeah. So Cleats, the owner there is Jeremiah Schenzel. He's also the owner of Daps Cafe on Ashley Avenue.
Mm-hmm.
So he developed that concept. It's kind of a sporty sandwich public house. It's, the goal is to kind of have a little bit more gourmet food than a normal sports bar.
Yeah.
But they certainly lean into any sport you can think of. You walk in there and there's golf playing, there's F1, there's, women's softball, anything you can think of. So
I think they might have a soccer team that's associated with them too.
I don't know.
Premier. I know we've definitely been to
we've been there for the Holy We're the Holy I follow West Ham United, so the Holy City Hammers have watched weekday games over there.
Yeah, I mean, they're open at 10 a.m. most days of the week.
Right.
So they do that intentionally to try to catch some of those overseas games.
Mm-hmm.
People who like torturing themselves by watching a game at 7 a.m.
I walk in there, coming down from the office for a break sometimes, and there's people having a good time on a Tuesday at 10, and I'm like, that's not bad.
I haven't gotten to where I could work that around my schedule yet. But, there's something to shoot for, right? Being able to have a cool daiquiris at 10:30.
Right, exactly. I'm getting there. Hopefully, not yet though.
Yeah. Well, then, so you have the two establishments.
Yeah.
You have the Whale. You have Cleats.
Yeah.
You said there are also businesses in the upper levels or the.
Yeah. One thing that I might get to before that is we also have a private event space that is on the same level as the Whale and Cleats. It's called Limbo. If you're looking at the Whale, it's just to the right of it.
Sure, we just saw it.
Yeah. So that's relatively new. We took that space over end of last year. And so we're operating it as private event space. You can host a birthday party there, a holiday party, any kind of get together. And then it's also open, just like Cleats and the Whale, to concert goers as well. So whenever we have a concert, it's a great spot to go in, get a nice cocktail, sit on a couch, lounge around for a little bit during intermission, and then come back outside to the concert.
That I love the idea of this because it's a concert experience, but it's not just concessions or a beer tent. You actually have establishments that folks can, meander in and out. And I'm sure that, the folks that own the Whale and Cleats or whatever, however it ends up, especially the Whale, love that symbiotic, experience.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it makes for a really unique experience, both for the consumer and for the retail tenants. Obviously they're incredibly excited to be a part of the concerts and other events that we're hosting out here. It drives business to their establishment, provides a really unique experience for their patrons. And then on the other side, when a ticket buyer comes here or somebody attending another event, they're really excited that they can go and get a full craft beer list, or they can go to Cleats and sit in the air conditioning for a little bit if they need to, which we all know is a high commodity in Charleston.
Right.
And then Limbo just adds to that. So we're doing the best we can to really promote focusing on the consumer experience and making sure people have a really nice time when they come here.
So for booking for Limbo, is that just all done through your website, I guess?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So if you go to the refinerychs.com, there's a tab up there for private events. We rent the entire venue. So you could theoretically, rent the amphitheater, the VIP section on the second story is an option. And then Limbo is a great option too. It's inside, it's air conditioned, not have to worry about weather. So that's something that we're certainly trying to promote this year. It's a really unique, event space in that respect. You can scale it all the way up to a huge, multi-thousand person event, and all the way down to if you just want to have a cocktail party with some friends or celebrate somebody's birthday.
Yeah. So what? The VIP section you mentioned. What is that upstairs?
So if you come out to the venue, you'll see kind of this elevated second story. It's over top of Cleats and the Whale, and that is operated as our VIP section. So
cool. Yeah.
The experience up there is great. You get an elevated perspective of the whole show.
Right.
There's dedicated restrooms up there that are indoors and air conditioned and really nice. You get some exclusive drink options up there. We try to do some pop-ups and promotions up there to get people free swag or anything like that. And then there's a dedicated VIP and we'll call entry line too. So if there's a huge line for GA for a big show, then you get to skip a little bit of that.
Yeah, that sounds like a good benefit.
Yeah.
You know, and I have to say personally, having dedicated restrooms is usually worth the price of any upcharge for anything.
Exactly. That was, we added that this year. That was the number one piece of feedback that we got from last year from people who purchased those tickets, is they really wanted to have that dedicated restroom. So we made that happen. And I think, you know, it's well worth it at this point, like you said.
Yeah. Hey, everyone. We really want to encourage you to visit the Refinery in Charleston, South Carolina. The Refinery is a beautiful mixed-use facility that's home to upscale office space, 2 restaurants, the Limbo Lounge, and an amphitheater that hosts national, regional, and local acts year-round. We cannot recommend it enough. Go to therefinerychs.com to get event and venue information. You can also go to the site to learn how you can even book the spaces you want for your own event. So go check them out, and thanks. To that point, do you have a suggestion box? God forbid somebody had a bad time. How do you process all that?
Yeah, I mean, we try to do a little bit of that a couple times a year, just collecting emails from people who have purchased tickets and sending out surveys and things like that. There's an automatic survey that I believe is still going out when you buy a ticket, but we're always available for any feedback, whether it's on Instagram, whether it's our email address, which is listed on our website. We would love to hear from anybody with any sort of suggestions, or, you know, a worst case scenario, if you did have a bad experience for something, we would do anything we can to rectify that.
Okay, so you said you've been here 4 years or so?
Yeah, 4 or 5. Yeah.
Is this still Sproul, or what are we calling this?
Meeting Street.
Upper Meeting. Okay, Meeting Street.
Yeah.
A lot of the folks that are coming up through this area and planting their flags, I mean, it's been a leap of faith for the past, 4, 5, 6 years. The people that were trailblazing and had the vision to do this.
Sure.
I mean, number one, it takes fortitude to do it.
Yeah.
But I believe you're probably in the development company is probably pretty pleased, and
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of, I guess you could say, not necessarily our specialty, but certainly an area of focus for us is up and coming areas that we can see are heading in the right direction.
Yeah.
And focusing on kind of urban infill and rehabilitation projects like that, where we can come in and take a property that needs some work but has a lot of potential and kind of give it a new life, and at the same time provide something that is going to be beneficial to the community.
Yeah.
So this project really exemplifies a lot of what Flyway is about in that sense. Just identifying locations like that and opportunities like that where, sure, the company is going to benefit from it, but it's also something that's going to be really cool and really unique and a benefit to everybody in the surrounding area. Yeah.
So DJ, how hard would it be if you had suggested to go somewhere, how hard would it be after it's all said and done to just not be able to say, I told you so? I told you it was going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Did you hold yourself back on that?
I mean, I can imagine your company must have had a lot of analytics.
Oh,
doing a lot of research, more than I can comprehend.
Yeah, there's certainly some of that. I mean, it's a lot of just gut feeling and vision too, and I would certainly give it up to kind of our head honcho and the guy who's leading us into a lot of these things, Lindsay, who purchased the older buildings on site, converted them into shared workspace and then dedicated office space. And this was a field up until 2019, 2018, I guess, maybe earlier than that. But just kind of having that sense of where things are moving is a lot of it too.
And see, where you were talking about, I told you so, I would be the opposite. I'd be biting my nails the whole time.
Oh, really?
Wondering if this, if this will work out.
Yeah, more of a thank God than told you so.
Yeah. Fly under the radar,
Yeah.
So you're either sinking or swimming. And frankly, once you guys get established and you're doing well, then everyone is going to get uplifted by that.
Yeah.
As we said years and years ago, we live in Park Circle. I mean, he lives in Mount Pleasant, but one day the peninsula is going to grow to Park Circle.
100%.
And that's just how it's going to be.
It's the only
that's how it is
direction
in
for anything
Charleston.
to go, really.
Yeah.
It really is. Growing up here, the thing was always Charleston has to grow out because it can't grow like physically up because of all the restrictions and everything.
Right.
And now
and
that
it's
there's
tough
more people.
to really sprawl like a city like Charlotte or Atlanta too, because there's so many waterways and rivers that are bisecting everything that you can see like we're in the neck, and it's just going to continue to move in that direction up towards Park Circle, for better or for worse. But that's just the way that things are going to shake out, it seems. Yeah.
You have to accept it. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And we should all enjoy it as much as possible. A lot of we have listeners that are tourists and pedestrian fans, and I say that with all the peace and love as I can say. They're probably not familiar with the Refinery and what it offers. So one of the highlights that people definitely come into town and they look for is the music.
Sure.
Yes.
How often do you try to have live music?
Yeah. So we, initially we were considering doing about 15 shows a year. And that was just kind of the baseline. It's where our heads were at and what we thought would work for the site. But last year we did over 30 and we're projected to do over 35 this year. So we've kind of realized that there's a little bit more headroom there. And right now we're, for the next couple of years at least, unless something changes, we're looking at 35 to 40 shows a year. Yeah.
Do you try to get more national acts, or does Ear for Music get, well-known bands, or do they pull in some local stuff as well?
Yeah. We primarily do focus on nationally touring acts for the most part, but a portion of those 35 to 40 shows is, composed of either regionally touring guys or locally touring guys who are doing really well. We've had Doom Flamingo out here, which are local guys. Susto has played here. And then, we do our best to, if a band needs an opener and they need help finding somebody like that, then Ear for Music is really good about pulling people into that scene from the local scene. We've also been starting to do some smaller shows inside Limbo. We have a stage that we can build in there, and we're doing our best to kind of increase the frequency of smaller shows in there to kind of support the local music scene. Yeah.
I like that idea because it does engage with the local community. And you know what? Ear for Music or y'all or whatever, if there's a band that's in there locally that you're like, oh, they really are, knock us out. Let's put them at the top of the list for possibly opening for this style of band.
Right.
Such opportunity. I love just the idea of so much stuff going on in one space. And mixed use business really is a big thing in the United States. Well, I guess the world now,
Yeah. I mean, what I've realized over the past few years of being a part of this is it's an ecosystem. Like the thing is live and there's a lot of different moving parts and, competing interests and just a lot of unique, business models in the space and all kinds of things that are kind of moving and shaking this thing in different directions.
Yeah.
Which is cool. Like it gives it some vitality and some life, but it's hard to manage at times, but that's kind of what makes it worth it, right? Like it's a unique thing that not many people do because it is difficult.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, you can do all the prepping and research in the world, but what it comes down to is the community. You know?
The people involved.
Your team, and the diversity of the team. I mean, as far as business skills or people or marketing or whatever.
And I think that goes for, the wider music scene in Charleston too. Is what I realized. Like you mentioned, like there's levels, right? And like a lot of people will start off playing, whether it's Limbo or like Commodore even, or smaller venues, and then they play the Poorhouse, and then maybe they're playing Charleston Music Hall, Music Farm, and maybe they hit us at some point, and then sure enough, they're playing Credit One, in short order a lot of the time.
Right.
So that's just a really cool thing to be a part of as well.
Yeah.
We haven't done a podcast from a Railcar yet.
Yeah, it's the elephant in the room. What time are
the elephant is the room?
Yeah. At what point are we going to talk about the Railcar and I guess the significance?
Yeah. I mean, we're recording from the Railcar, which if you come to the site, it's pretty hard to miss. It's a 86-foot 1952 or 54 passenger car. We found it in Fort Myers, Florida. And then we transported it up here, which took a lot longer than we expected it to. It was quite the process.
I assume you transported it via railway, right?
No.
What? Okay,
No.
well.
Yeah, so that's what most people think, that, we're really close to this rail yard on the other side of the fence too. So a lot of people think that we just, drove it right up here and plucked it over the fence, but that was not the case. It was not in, the best condition when we found it.
Right.
So it was not able to travel by rail. We ended up, it's sitting on, these trucks, which are the wheels.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And then we transported those separately. Those arrived, and then we put the entire car portion of it onto a flatbed trailer, which required, in order to transport it from Fort Myers all the way up here, we had to get approval from Florida DOT, Georgia DOT, and South Carolina DOT.
Oh, man.
So they give you a whole route, and they tell you that you're going to fit under all these bridges and all these things. Like, this is the route you have to go in order to make it up there. So the driver of the flatbed truck had a lead car in front of him who was, checking all the heights of all the bridges to make sure. And he hits a bridge. He's, a mile or two ahead of him, and he's like, "Man, you're not gonna make this one. It's like 4 inches too short."
Yeah.
And so he has to pull over on I-95, and he couldn't go over the bridge. It wasn't one that you could like get off of the exit and just get right back on the highway.
Yeah.
And so he had to back this thing up to the next exit to be able to get off of the highway.
Holy smoke.
Like 3 miles.
Okay.
So state troopers shut down 95 in order for him to do that. Meanwhile, we have all these stickers on the side of this thing, the Refinery, QR codes, like, check us out.
Right.
The people that were waiting in traffic obviously are not fans of the Refinery, probably still.
I would be steamed, man.
Yeah. And so, but it wasn't our fault at the end of the day. Like, we were told this is the route. Apparently it wasn't. So we had to get a new route approved in order to transport it up here, which took about 4 days. And meanwhile, the driver of this thing was living out of his truck,
right?
Uber eating food, waiting to get this new route. We're paying him the whole time.
Yeah.
And eventually we did get it up here, but that's just, one of the stories of bringing this place to life is it's a lot of unexpected things that you got to work through. Yeah.
So what's like the function of it now then?
So it is the green room.
Okay.
90% of the time, it's a green room for the bands, and then we do offer it as a private event space as well. So if you wanted to host a cocktail party in here, a birthday party, anything like that, then you could theoretically host your party in the same room that Warren Haynes was in, and any number of the artists that have hung out in here.
Yeah, I got to see some before pictures because it looks really nice now. But
it didn't look
based
like
off
this
your
before.
description. Yeah,
did not look like this before. It was rows and rows of seat and really old moldy carpet. And we definitely discovered some things that we would have preferred not to discover when we were taking this thing down to the frame. But now it's now it's pretty accommodating.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it is pretty rad, and we'll take some pictures of it. My question, I have to say, you couldn't find a train car somewhere in the Lowcountry of South Carolina. You had to go all the way to Fort Walton.
From you.
I asked the same question. Apparently, they're a little harder to find than you would think.
Okay,
right?
Yeah, at least in the condition that we were looking for. But that's just a funny story that I've told a couple times.
That is a very good story, and that's a great story for a podcast. So, getting back to the accommodations where bands hang out, let's segue into what kind of shows do we have coming up?
Sure, yeah. We got some good ones coming up this weekend. Well, actually, on Thursday, we have Yellow Wolf, which will be a really fun one. He's kind of made a transition from, what he was doing, probably what we all remember him for, and now he's kind of taken a turn towards more country vibe, which will be interesting.
Cool. Yeah.
Steel Pulse is this coming Saturday, July 5th. This will be their third time playing here, actually.
Really?
Yeah. Reggae legends. So
absolutely,
we're always excited to have them back. They put on a killer show, and just great people too. And then we have July 10th. Shaky Graves is actually moving over here from Firefly.
Okay.
So that got transferred over here recently. Okay. We're really excited to have them come out. We got Muscadine Bloodline coming up on August 8th, and the Wood Brothers, Watch House, Jerry Cantrell, Drifter Fest is coming back for their third or fourth year here. Trombone Shorty, Kaleo, North Mississippi All Stars, STS9. So we're really excited about the next few months, and fall in particular is going to be really, really fun. Even if we don't have an event going on, people are more than welcome to come out, hang at the Whale, hang at Cleats, kick a ball around in the amphitheater. It's a great spot for families and kids to come hang out. Plenty of open space to let the young ones run around. And if you got a dog, bring it out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Charleston
that's good to know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We have. Yeah. Well, he has a Shiba Inu.
Nice.
Yeah, that loves running around. Yeah. One other thought is you were going through all the bands. It's pretty diverse, from Steel Pulse to Jerry Cantrell to Wood Brothers to Sound Tribe. I mean, that's something for everyone in a lot of these bands. You're not pigeonholing yourselves with just alt indie or something.
Yeah. So I mean, hats off to Ear for Music again.
Yep.
You know, they've done a killer job with building out our schedule and building those relationships that are allowing us to do that and bring that kind of diversity here. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll start wrapping it in a second. Do you have any big plans coming up as far as the development company? Do you see growing the refinery out any?
Yeah, I mean, in the short term, our focus really is trying to just improve the consumer experience and the things that people experience when they come to a show at the refinery. Just trying to continually tweak things and make sure that we aren't really taking our foot off the gas and are continuing to focus on that. I think it's a big part of developing kind of the community aspect that we're trying to do, and getting a reputation out there of a venue that is paying attention to those things.
Yeah.
And then we are really focused on building the private events business too. So that's a focus for 2025 for sure. We do, like I said, 35 to 40 concerts a year, but aside from that, we have a lot of really cool spaces that are available for people to book.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, that's certainly a focus for us. And then in terms of the development as a whole, I mean, there are some plans out there to expand it at some point. We have a little bit of more room on this site, but that's a ways off.
Okay.
Yeah.
Understood.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would figure there's always something cooking.
Yeah. And then, I mean, you know, what we're trying to do in Limbo too. So just kind of trying to build out that room as a small venue as well, and bringing in some smaller local acts and trying to do our part to just kind of support the ecosystem, like I mentioned. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, we'll check out the space at a show that we're coming up to.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about best way to contact you and any social media that you particularly like to use.
Sure. Yeah. We are, willing to be contacted at any point. Info at therefinerychs.com is the best way to contact us. And we're super responsive through that channel. And then Instagram as well is probably the second best bet. We post very regularly on there. It's a great way to get a vibe for, what we have to offer here. And that is at therefinerychs.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, excellent. All right, everybody, we appreciate you coming and listening, and we will have pictures and other write-ups and contact information. Y'all know the deal. Show notes. That's how we like to take care of our people. Can't tell you how interesting this conversation was, Drew.
Yeah,
I appreciate
absolutely.
you. Appreciate you having us out here, and we look forward to being out here again, and hopefully having you on when there's some more stuff shaking.
Yeah, 100%. Thank you, guys.
All right, right on. Everybody be good, and we'll see y'all next week. Bye.